Welcome to Overcoming Adversity, an addiction and mental health podcast powered by Next Level Recovery Associates with the host with the most, Amanda Marino, Sarah Frias, and Matt Williams.
Now that was one heck of an intro.
Yeah.
I can't
work on it.
You practice.
I can't compare to that. I think you have to be the lead each time.
I'm happy to keep trying it.
I love it. Well,
Yeah.
thanks.
Just
for
do
being
different voices each time.
Every time?
Spice it up. Yeah.
here. But Matt
Spice
has
it.
his radio voice. That's
I
like,
do, yeah. I can get the radio thing going.
You could definitely do voiceovers and
That'd
radio.
be fun.
That would be so fun.
I would love that.
He has
I
the
would
voice for
absolutely
it.
love that.
How you guys doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I love the topic you picked for today, Sarah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm actually looking at it right now.
Oh, I was wondering what you were looking
We're going
at.
to do failure.
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Tell us about your topic, Sarah. and why
Unleash
you
the
chose
topic.
it.
Well, I just want to let everybody know me and Amanda are wearing matching sweatshirts today that say self-care.
Yeah.
So I just want to remind everybody to make
for-
sure to,
Our blind audience.
for our blind audience.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Self-care.
Love that.
Self-care. Yeah. Just a reminder. So today we're going to talk about failure to launch. I have dealt with this personally and then obviously professionally within Next Level Recovery Associates. And I get a lot of calls from families with their loved ones that struggle with failure to launch and how there's not much information on it and not a lot of places that really assist with it. So I really kind of wanted to speak about that, how to overcome failure to launch, what it looks like within, our domain within Next Level and, support those who struggle with failure to launch.
It's interesting. We didn't seek out, right?
No.
To be like, oh, we're going to work with clients that are, a lot of them failure to launch. Some of them have some underlying mental health struggles. Some don't. Some have some underlying addiction issues. Some don't. It's just a common theme of the young adult population now. And we have had so many. And Matt, you're so good with them because it's quite opposite of you. Oh, he's taking a deep breath. Because it definitely challenges all that you are, but you're really good with getting them going. And like the progress is different, right? We've all learned to see the little wins, but it's not something, again, that we were like, hey, we're going to go work with these clients. It's just they've all fallen on our lap.
Yeah. I think one of the most challenging with any addiction or anybody struggling with mental health or substance abuse is the fact that it's a family thing. And a lot of the failure to launch, in my experience, has to do with the family and parents. As someone that's taught before, again, I don't have kids, so take this for what it is. Parents do and try to live their kids' lives and make sure they're so kept in this bubble of there's no pain, there's no suffering. And again, I'm not a parent, and I know both of you ladies are awesome mothers, and it's like, you obviously don't want your kid to get hurt. You obviously want to take away any pain from them, but it's like, how are these kids and young adults going to learn if they've been handed everything their entire life? And I'm not saying a loving family, like we've worked with all clients, right, with broken homes and
For sure.
Absentee, fathers or mothers or raised by their uncles or aunts or other family members. And when it comes down to it, a lot of it just has to do with like they've never had to, build their character, right? There's never been a character building moment. And I will always remember, my parents were very old school. My dad, anytime there was a challenge and I'd be like, this is really tough. And he's like, well, that's character building. And I fucking hated it when he said that.
Yeah, I would too.
It cringed you.
Because I was like, that's not an answer. That's not a solution for me.
Yeah.
But, now I understand what he was trying to say. It's like, you have to develop that resilience and you have to walk through it, and you're going to fail and you're not going to get a trophy and you're not going to be the best and you're not going to, it's like not everybody is going to succeed or excel, and that is okay. And what are you going to do about it? And that's especially hard when the kid finally has to walk through an addiction, not using a drug or substance. And then like, well, what do I do? And who do they first turn to? Mommy and daddy.
Yeah.
And I say it that way because like I've kind of learned to say it's like when you get to some of these failure of launch, right, in their late 20s. And again, I got sober at 28, like I was very fortunate to have a great family. And, I remember the one time that I needed help, it was the last time. And they're like, hey, we can help you with this, but don't. And then, and they stuck to it. But when you get to like the late 20s, the early 30s, or even in the 40s.
We've had them in their 40s and 50s.
Right. And then you have to say to them, it's like, I say it that way. It's like, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to call your mommy and daddy? And it makes it so like, not to piss them off, but to just be like, I want you to hear me say that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
You are X amount of
ridiculous.
years old.
Mm-hmm.
We are all here to help you.
Yeah.
But like enough's enough. Like the whining, the sitting around. I want someone to do this for me. The entitlement. And again, I've experienced all those things, right? In addiction, and I'm sure you both have. We've talked about that, and that's what the biggest struggle is. And I know how hard it is because then you talk to the parents, and it's that fear of the unknown, right? Had a conversation with a parent. Having with a family friend, and they're just so scared because they have no idea of this realm of like this part of the world of like sobriety and what happens and the unknowns, and they can't do anything about it. And I just said, like, you have no control here, and like no amount of money, no amount of power or influence is going to change the fact that your kid is either going to get sober and not or die trying.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
It's definitely the two part, right? When we get in and dig in and we get to know the family and we see that, you know, they're just paying for everything and letting them drive expensive cars, but then don't understand why they won't get a job and they won't be self-supporting. Why? When they've never needed to. And you continue to. So you tell them on one hand, but you show them with the actions very different. It's very confusing and contradicting. And the entitlement runs so deep that these individuals, is their reality. I mean, we had an older, you know, a client in the 40s, 50s in another state. And, you know, he's still demanding things from his 80-something-year-old parents for them to take care of him for the rest of his life. And
But wouldn't talk to them.
But also refuse to talk to them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of the things that we see are absolutely baffling, but we get these individuals, like I said, some of them have the addiction, some of them have mental health struggles, some don't.
Yeah.
And it starts with the family and how they're raised. And I think there's also something with this generation right now, you know, there's texting back is like a challenge. Like it's not hard to text back.
I think
making appointments, you know, meeting people in person, like they're terrified of things like this. It's
I think a lot's changed. And I know, like, just from my experience as a teacher and like the helicopter
I was just going to
parents,
say helicopter parents.
there's like a new term for it now, and it's just rough. And even talking to teachers now or educators, higher education and whatnot, you can't teach and you can't talk to kids a certain way because God forbid you hurt their feelings, or you come across as challenging them because they've never been challenged. Or they've always, you know, had that. So I think when you get to that failure to launch, which is, you know, the topic today, it's like, you know, what do our services provide, right? What do we do? How do we work with that? And every case is different. Like we say, with any topic that comes up, every case is different. You know, working with one kid, building a rapport to where I can say, you know, lovingly, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
You know, what's your plan here? You know, you can't do that to everybody. Others, you have to, again, I'm gonna say it, you know, a little bit more gentle nudging and kind of, you know, you take a couple steps forward, you take a step back, or you take a couple steps back and a baby step forward. And everyone's different. And it is very challenging for me. As again, I had my struggles, but I always was taught that work ethic and work hard and do the best you can, and, you know, tore that all down with my addiction. But, you know, it's really challenging to work with someone that is literally the antithesis of you.
But you do amazing with it.
I appreciate that. And I think it's
kind of become
teaching,
your thing.
Yeah.
It's become your, like,
ironically.
super.
Yeah. Ironically.
Avoidant and failure to launch.
Right.
Come to Matt Williams.
Right. But I think it definitely lends itself a lot for me to learn a lot and to practice patience, love, and tolerance and acceptance of people, while also challenging them and coming from a place of like, hey, I really care about you. And if no one's telling you this before, like, let's get this shit right. Like, let's like actually put this into play and actually like do the work and actually follow through with something, and, you know, not, you know, count on it. Everybody loves to be taken care of.
Of course.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
You know, you do.
I like in some ways, but
Right.
I also have to have since I was 14 years old, I've worked. I have to have like my own independence financially and emotionally and mentally.
Right.
But I like to be taken care of. Like, I like Phil as my protector.
Right. Your
And he,
relationship
But
gal.
that's like a normal.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like, I'm super independent, but I want someone to love me.
Yeah, I want love.
Everybody wants that. And it's like, how do you get to that point where the parents can love the family member or whatever and put in, and it's tough. Like I've done this when I met you, working with people and helping them get into a treatment program and figure it out. And like, they're not maybe being a family program and having to talk to parents and be like, it's okay to say no.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they don't need a phone when they're getting, like, they don't need this.
And that
like,
terrifies parents.
100%.
That some of the ones we work with, like that they can't fix it with money.
Of course.
Or fix it with something they can do.
Power, influence.
Yeah. It kills,
it's out of their hands.
Kills them, and they want to be able to fix. And as parents, we're not going to be able to fix everything. Like I have an 18-year-old, and everyone was saying to me, what is he going to do when he finishes high school? And I just gave a different answer than many people, because I said, listen, I have him exploring and meeting with different people and trying different things, but like, I don't think he needs to know what he's doing.
Right.
Right. And I felt like everybody wanted that answer from me. Like, what's he going to do? And I was very comfortable in saying, I'm supporting him with having him making introductions to him and having him go out in the community and see what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Like, that's the best thing I can do as a mother, not tell him what he should be doing.
Yeah.
Like I personally, and I've heard this before, but I always believe that at some point in time, every person should work in customer service. Every person should either work at a restaurant or some form of where you have to deal with other people, where they're paying for a service, and you have to sit there, smile, and you have to learn how to work with them, whether it's a week, 3 weeks, a month, where you have to interact with other human beings and make sure their experience is the best possible thing it could be for what they're paying for.
Absolutely. Everything we do as far as concierge wise comes from my years at the Breakers. I worked at the Breakers for 4 years. Yeah. That like I now use those skill sets into how we communicate with people and what we do as far as 5-star, 5 diamond. Like that was ingrained in me. So I can't go to a hotel or restaurant without like always being disappointed after the Breakers.
Of course. Yeah, it's the Breakers.
But yeah, no, Merrick, my son, has worked at the same job since he was 16, one of them, and he has a second job now at a country club. And then he's, going to...
Which country club?
It's someone in Wellington.
Oh, nice.
I don't remember the name of it, Wellington something. And then...
First time hearing about it. I like golf. That's fine.
You love cool. Golf, yeah. Be good person to know.
Nice to know. It's awesome.
And then he's enrolled in EMT school now, and then he signed up for an intervention training and going to do a coaching training. Yeah. So this is the things, so I just support him. And I didn't tell him, hey, I want you to learn my business, but we have
interested in it.
We have to lead them, but also know, like, certain things have gone on with my daughter and the divorce. Like, the day I told her I was getting divorced, I brought her to my friend's house. I was a therapist. Like, I can't be that. I know I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm the one she's angry at, so we as parents, we can do better by not trying to coddle and protect them and give them every single thing they need without giving them sense of character or earning, and that's where I see a lot of these families go wrong, and they do it for a minute and then they go right back to the old behavior. Like, it's so comfortable for
like
them.
An addict.
Yeah.
Right.
They have the same struggle.
Right. It's like, I remember I knew, so a therapist had to explain to me, your relationship, if you're going to get sober, your relationships and everyone that means something to you is going to change, because you're going to be different, hopefully, in terms of how you handle life. And then other people, they have the stories that you guys have built, right? Like I have 2 older brothers, and I wasn't the little brother that needed to be rescued anymore.
Yeah.
Which changed the dynamic.
Was that hard for them?
I think at the beginning it was,
yeah.
and it wasn't like I wasn't grateful for them, but like, obvious conversations still happen, but it wasn't conversations like, hey, I need help or this or that. It's like, hey, what's going on? I'm doing this and this. How are you doing? How are the kids? And it wasn't like
it was healthy.
It was more or less healthy. And there was definitely, like, every family has their thing, but it's, you have to learn how to interact with them again. Like, I had to learn how to.
Now you guys inspire one another. That's what I see.
Yeah.
And you're on a very similar paths, but doing different things. Like when I met with your brother, he's just like, you guys are into the same kind of things, oddly at the same time from different outlets. It's just pretty cool to see.
It's crazy. All Williams men married kick-ass alpha women, and my dad worked for IBM for an institution for 40-something years, and we all do our own thing, and we're all entrepreneurs.
Love that.
Which is weird.
Yeah, that's
because like my dad had a great gig and was always available and always showed up to events and always did all those things. But I just remember having, again, like, with that communication, why I think it's so important for families to get involved with the process and try to understand and work on themselves with their relationship with their loved one, because it just, I don't want to say speeds up, because that's not the correct term, but it allows for healing to occur and there
lasting
to be
change,
some growth and lasting change, right? And that's such a win. And again, when we get those emails and we communicate, we're like, is this parent on planet Earth, Did they understand like how far this person has come
and how bad it was
and how bad it was and like what they're asking for is like in a different galaxy, but is attainable. But
Just
it's in a different galaxy.
It's a slower,
not now.
Yeah. I think so. For failure to launch on my end personally, I think that's why I also gravitate to it. I find it really interesting is that, you know, my parents, I don't know if I don't like to describe kind of parenting. I don't know if they were helicopter parents, but they definitely, I guess so. Yeah, you can call them that. It was all out of love, you know,
Hi,
which
Sandy.
is, hi, Sandy. Hi, Ray. It was all out of love for sure. You know, and I was their miracle baby. So any situation I was in, anything that I needed, they were always there.
Right.
But in saying that, there was a positive that I knew that I could always go to my parents for anything that I needed. But then it took away any responsibility transitioning into adulthood. How do I pay my bills? How do I not spend all my money so I can pay my bills that I need to pay? How do I get an apartment? You know, I knew how to do laundry. I mean, I definitely didn't do it all the time. My mom did my laundry a lot, but, you know, and I had to grow through that. And now looking forward as someone who, I wouldn't say I had a severe case of failure to launch, but I definitely had some degree of it. The independence and strength I feel from being able to adult.
Yeah.
To pay my own bills, to not ask my mom and dad for money, you know, to be an independent person, I think has like catapulted me to this like other dimension. And that's kind of where I really love working with those type of clients. I love working with the families for that because they need support. They need understanding that you can love your child or whoever, you know, if it's not the parent, say it's, you know, a significant other, whatever the case is, without, you know, basically doing all fixing and having them learn how to be an adult.
And they need the constant reassurance. You know, that's why we keep that communication open of like when they do, at least they're asking us these questions in these other galaxies in an email rather than just going and doing it like they used to. So that's even a sense of progress.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have that experience as like you guys
That's
do.
probably why you are such an independent, you know, you've always...
I had to grow up quick,
Yeah.
right? I had a lot of stuff go on when I was ages 4 to 7. So I had to grow up extremely fast. And I feel like if I were to ever let go and just allow someone to fully take care of me, that I would lose a lot of, like, that makes me feel safe and makes me feel secure to be able to always take care of myself, like working at a young, even when I was really messed up, I was always making money.
Yeah.
And always like working hard. I've always believed in working hard. And
work hard, play hard, the old adage.
And I was also the first. So
Not
I
too
was,
much play hard, you know.
Well, no, I'm saying back then it was work hard.
Yeah. Play hard.
You're not paying my bills. I'll do whatever the fuck I want.
And my mom was a single mom when I was growing up, and then she was married with my sister. So my sister was very privileged with like all like
family stuff,
designer clothes, and I was wearing consignment shop stuff, you know. So we had a very different, you know, experience. Because
I got the 70s hand me down. I got it.
Yeah, I wanted something that was consignment shop, you know. And so, yeah, it's definitely, I mean, I see it in so many people. And sometimes I used to be like a little envious of it, but now I'm not at all. Like, I'd much rather not have to go through that because it's so hard to break when we work with young men, young women that are coddled.
That's been their whole lives.
Yeah, it's tough to break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is, I guess, on our end, what we do to help a client that has failure to launch?
You two start on that one.
Well,
it's your specialty.
Okay, what do you do with the clients? I think,
obviously, like anything, you meet the client where they're at and just really talk about it and just see what kind of stories they're telling themselves and what their experience was growing up with whatever their family background is, and then what their struggle is with, and then how to possibly relate that or touch on other things where there's other people that you can refer them to, not like other services, but other people that have gone through it, right? Because community, right? You get loved on by other people.
For sure.
Oh, that, you know, you should talk to so-and-so. They experienced that. And like, you know, here's how we're going to do this. And, you know, if in relations to getting sober is focusing on themselves and for the first time actually doing the work on themselves, not asking anybody else to do it. And I think with, you know, family is, you know, I've had some very, very difficult conversations with family members, you know, over the years, let's just say, where you just have to be like, listen, you know, take this for what it is or leave it. Like, nothing you did was wrong.
Yeah.
Here's where we're at. This is our recommendation for what we think you need to change and work on, and either decide to do it or continue this cycle of like nonsense, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't like that. And I've definitely been, well, you don't have a kid. And I'm like, right, I'll be the first to say it. I don't have kids. I've worked with kids. I've been a teacher. I don't have my own. I have literally experience, but not being a parent. And that's discounted. And again, may I feel different if I had a kid? Sure. But I'm basing
You still
it
have
off,
experience with kids.
So you're an adult.
Teacher,
we're basing this off my experience and what we've seen work in other families with this exact same situation.
over
and
and
here
over
have
and over
been the
again.
results.
Right. When you gave it, you start off with the gentleness, right? You didn't do anything wrong because that's where they first go.
Right.
So if you start off with that,
Always.
just like giving a
Didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
There's a ton of fear of the unknown. You're not going to be able to buy your way out of it, influence this with your power, whoever you know. And this is a serious matter of this is your child having to do something on their own with you loving and supporting them as best as we can help you know how.
Yeah.
It's similar to how you said you approach the actual client, right? You
Right.
give them compliments and positive praise, but then
Right.
also hold them accountable and challenge them. And I think it's a lot with the families too.
Oh, yes. Yeah. So, I mean, we obviously do the family support. We have a family, parent coach. I also, on my end,
Therapist also.
and the therapist. And then on my end, obviously, I'm communicating with the family. I'm communicating with, say, if Matt's the coach, which he's always my go-to for when I hear failure to launch. I'm like, Matt, perfect. And
Makes me
talking to the
chuckle.
client, I know. And just kind of building like what the goals are. They need to get a job. Do they have a resume? Okay. They get a job.
Usually not.
Yeah, usually not. We'll help with the resume.
Some of and we've had clients with some of it's like they live in absolute squalor and you're like, we need to really go in there and like talk about basics. And it's and I think
some of it's like that extreme for sure.
And it's really hard for parents because it's like we know they didn't get this way because you're this way. They just crossed over and at one point it was taken care of for them.
Yeah.
And now it's not going to be. And here are the things that we need to put in place for this to succeed. Are you on board or are you not?
Yeah. Yeah. And we definitely even go, I mean, me and Matt have went into clients' houses and, I've kind of mothered him, the client to a certain degree to try to help, with, a living condition. And then obviously talking to the parents and, we need some help here. We can obviously work with the client, but there needs to be, a start of a baseline that is not where we're at right now. And that's kind of the whole communication process and ensuring that everybody is on the same page and everybody's working on themselves. And, we're little by little, as quick as slow as it needs to go.
And also take it like when, okay, if you've been job hunting, no. Like, and that goes by for a while. Okay, well, I'm coming to pick you up. Be ready.
Amanda's
in your
done
clothes.
that.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Matt has them send
And go in.
screenshots.
Go in right now. And then, sometimes people it used to be, okay, here's your plan written down here all pretty and give it to somebody. And this kind of population, you literally have to help walk them through.
Yeah, you have to hold their hand. Yeah.
You have to. And then eventually, taper down. Like we
Right.
don't want to continue, but some of them are that severe of a place where we have to hold their hand and walk them through.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
there's-
parents.
Even again, you go to applying for a job, they've never done that. Even the most basic place. I remember, late 40s, the guy, I said, this is a one-sided, one-sheet resume to work at a food place. Was terrified and afraid that he'd answer the wrong way. And I felt so bad. And I was like, all right, cool, let's just sit down and go over it. And it was just like, what?
Mock interview.
Yeah, here's your name. Here's what date it is. What experience do you have? Oh, well, I did this. That's awesome. You should put that right there. What did your job entail? Oh, well, I said, do you manage people? Yeah. Write that down.
Yeah.
Did you make schedules? Oh, yeah, I just
There you go. Yeah.
Created schedules.
write that down.
Yeah.
What else did you do? And and those are the things where people that are so unsure of themselves, and we talk about the fear and insecurity of everything, of getting sober and starting over and, changing one thing, everything. It's just step by step. And it's just, here's what we're going to do. Here's what I'd like you to do. Here's what I'm going to do. Here's what we're going to do together. Here's what your family's going to do. And then see what happens. Right. And just put it out there, and then it's that whole thing. We have their team meetings, we all communicate, and it's great. Like, I literally just came from a client, and in the nicest way, I love this kid. He went from not communicating, not talking to me, just biding our time of, working out and talking about things, very like, yep, like one-word answers, to I haven't been able to get him to shut up.
That's great.
In the nicest way.
Yeah,
and he's talking about the life he's living, how good he feels about the job he's doing,
Love that.
getting out of his comfort zone and going places that he never thought he'd be able to go again, because he wasn't drinking, and actually having fun and meeting other people and making friends. And it's so cool. Like, we all know, it's like when that light flickers and you're like,
So beautiful.
there we go.
Yeah.
That's
why we do it.
How life is.
Yeah.
And you don't have to drink and drug, and look at the relationship change with your family, look at the relationship with yourself, and with, how you're living and how you're operating, and fully owning the things and being like, wow, I did this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying like I as a
feels-
coach, I'm saying
yeah,
the client being
client.
like, wow, I did this, and saying, yeah, like, in case no one said this today, I'm really proud of you.
Yeah.
And then being like, whoa,
Yeah.
like, I did it.
Yeah, and it can be with drugs and alcohol. It can be with the way they're raised. It can be with gaming. It can be, there's so many things that this failure to launch
anything.
population we
Yeah.
see. I actually heard recently a former client of ours. We tried for many months and we made some progress, and we ended up stopping it. But now that person, 6 months later, separately on their own, reached back out to the therapist, and so we planted a seed. Maybe it didn't take in the manner we wanted to at that time, but it started, and he knew where to go, and he felt more ready. Like, there still was progress, but it wasn't to the level that we had hoped.
Yeah.
So even when I hear something like that, I'm like, awesome. He knew where to go.
Yeah.
He knew where to go.
Someone that he was
It's
comfortable with.
resources.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not alone. If you're out there, if you have a child, a partner, a friend, whatever you have, somebody that's struggling and is failure to launch, failure to thrive, is stuck. There's so much hope out there. There's so many options.
Yeah.
We get to see it. We get to see the change all the time. And sometimes we struggle with it and we bang our head against the wall, but we stick in there,
But
man.
then we see those clients that
Yeah.
their apartments are clean. They have their own apartment.
They're brushing their teeth.
They're breathing, and it can be little things. It may sound silly to some people that don't struggle with it, but I mean, it's a real struggle for people. And to see those little wins, even like Matt said, like getting a haircut, brushing teeth, that's awesome, and it just, everybody's different, everybody's individualized, and, we're able to really, meet people where they're at, and whether it's fast or slow, which a lot of times it is slow, that's okay.
Yep.
We're just here to help, and be able to have them move into adulthood, and have a healthy dynamic where it's their parents and they can just talk about their days without having to, be that helicopter parent and enjoy their lives as well.
It's exhausting to be like that,
Yeah, it's nice
I see it. They burn they're just like balls of anxiety, and they're
all the
just
time
drained. And like when like we talked about this before, but when you ask them, like, what do you do for yourself? Speaking of self-care, what do you do? And they just are like nothing. They're so obsessed with what their person that's either not doing anything or doing too much of bad things. They're so consumed with that they can't even function.
And I think they're so consumed with making the wrong choice.
Yeah,
like I talked
the fear of the unknown. You
right.
said.
So it's like talking to a dear family friend, and what if I make this choice and it's not the right one? I was like, well, if you're doing something where you're making a choice and you're not sure, and it doesn't involve drugs and alcohol, the best part is if it's the wrong choice, we can assess it and make another one.
Totally.
And like, it's okay to fail. And I think that's a totally different topic for another day.
Yes.
I was going to say, I love that. Yeah.
It's okay to fail.
Because again, we're talking about failure to launch, but like talking about failure, talking about coming up into, facing adversity and developing resilience and developing character is a completely different topic associated with this one.
Mm-hmm.
But it's scary. The unknown is scary. Changing family dynamics that have been rooted for 20, 30, 40 years, generations. And breaking that. And they talk a lot about that. It's like when you get sober, you might be breaking a 40, 50, 60-year run of people in your family that have struggled with alcohol and drugs or, and
unresolved trauma,
whatever
untreated mental health. Yeah, so much out there.
You ever seen that video on a side note online where they have the glasses? I hope if you haven't, then it's just going to be awkward. They have the glasses and they're talking about generational, you know, X, Y, and Z.
Did you just send it to me?
Probably.
Yeah,
Because I think it's really cool. And they just show like when you haven't worked on certain things, whether it's like, you know, behaviors,
the person
trauma,
that overflows.
it just ends up like overflowing, you know, because you're just constantly putting into the next person and the next person and the next generation. And it's really interesting to look at. So to be able to like break that.
Yeah.
And what that looks like for people generations down from now, you know, is huge.
I look at Merrick and he's far different than I was at 18. So I'm like, all right.
Oh my God, he's amazing.
I'm doing something right.
Yeah, I know. You definitely are.
And my daughter's emotional intelligence at 11 to share some of the things, like she shared something with me today, which broke my heart, but I was so proud of her that she felt safe coming to me. You know, that's just, I want to hold space for them and just like I want to be like what we try to help parents be like, you know, that's what I try to implement in my own life. My biggest goal is to like it used to be to not mess my kids up. That was like my biggest goal in life, but I'm going to mess them up somehow, but to not mess them up in ways that like are not like, you know, casual.
Salvageable.
Yeah. Normal kind of stuff. Right. Like not like in ways that I felt like I was.
Right.
I agree.
Love it.
All right. Well, we're kind of a little, somehow we got here early and we're late.
Yeah.
But we're going to kind of skip our ending, I think, and just wrap this one up because we got to keep going.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
All right. Thank you guys for being here. You can follow me, Next Level Recovery Associates, Amanda Marino Recovery on TikTok and Instagram.
And that's it. Have a most triumphant day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.